The day a man bought his dream motorcycle. Tom had always dreamed of owning a motorcycle. Since he was a child, he loved the sound of roaring engines and the freedom that motorcycles seemed to offer. He would spend hours looking at pictures of motorcycles in magazines and online, imagining himself riding down an open road, the wind in his hair, and the world at his feet. His dream motorcycle was a Harley-Davidson, a classic American brand known for its power and style. It wasn't just any motorcycle, but a Softail heritage classic, a model known for its vintage design, comfortable ride, and the deep, growling sound of its engine. Tom had been dreaming about this bike for years, but there was one problem: the price. The Softail Heritage Classic was expensive, far more than Tom could afford. He worked as an office manager, and although his job paid well, it was never enough to buy something as costly as a Harley. He had always told himself, maybe one day, but not yet. But today, something felt different. Today was the day that might change everything. It was a Saturday morning, and Tom had just finished a long week at work. The weather was perfect, sunny, not too hot, with a cool breeze in the air. Tom had spent the past few weeks thinking a lot about his dream, asking himself if it was time to finally buy the motorcycle he had always wanted. After all, he wasn't getting any younger. He had worked hard, saved money, and maybe, just maybe, it was time to take the leap. Tom woke up early that Saturday, had a cup of coffee, and checked his bank account. He had been saving for the motorcycle for years, but he always hesitated to make the purchase. He was afraid of making a mistake, of spending too much on something that wouldn't bring him happiness. However, after thinking it over, he decided that today was the day. He was going to visit the motorcycle dealership and see if he could finally make his dream a reality. Tom put on his jeans, a t-shirt, and his favorite leather jacket. He looked at himself in the mirror and smiled. This is it, he thought. Today is the day I make my dream come true. He drove to the dealership, a small shop on the outskirts of the city. As he approached the building, his heart began to race. There, in the front of the showroom, was a row of shiny motorcycles, each more beautiful than the last. But there, in the middle of them all, was the one he had been dreaming of for years. The Harley-Davidson Softail Heritage Classic. Its chrome parts gleamed in the sunlight, and the deep black color of the bike seemed to call out to him. Tom walked toward it slowly, as if he were approaching something sacred. He reached out and touched the handlebars, feeling the smooth, cold metal beneath his fingers. It's real, he whispered to himself. A salesman approached him with a smile. Can I help you, sir? He asked, his voice friendly but professional. Tom looked up at the man, still in awe of the motorcycle in front of him. Yes, I'm interested in this bike, he said, pointing to the Harley. It's exactly what I've been dreaming of for years. The salesman nodded. A great choice. The Softail Heritage Classic is one of our most popular models. It's a classic, with a lot of power and comfort. Tom felt a little nervous. He had never bought anything this expensive before, and he wasn't sure if he was ready to commit. How much does it cost? He asked, trying to sound confident. The salesman smiled, knowing the question was coming. This model is priced at $18,500. Tom's heart skipped a beat. That was more than he had imagined. That's a lot of money, he said quietly, looking at the bike again. But I've saved up for it. The salesman noticed the hesitation in Tom's voice. I understand. It's a big decision. But remember, sometimes in life, you have to take a leap of faith to make your dreams come true. Tom thought about those words for a moment. He had worked hard for this. He had saved, planned, and waited for the right time. Maybe this was the right time. I'll take it, Tom said suddenly, surprising himself. I've wanted this for so long, and I'm not going to wait any longer. The salesman smiled broadly. Excellent choice, sir. Let's get the paperwork started. As the salesman went to get the necessary documents, Tom stood there, staring at his future motorcycle. His hands were shaking slightly, and he could hardly believe what he had just said. He was about to buy the motorcycle of his dreams. The paperwork took some time, but Tom didn't mind. He filled out all the forms and signed the agreement, knowing that he was making a decision that would change his life. When the process was finally done, the salesman handed him the keys. Congratulations, sir. You are now the proud owner of a Harley-Davidson Softail Heritage Classic. Tom couldn't believe it. His heart swelled with excitement as he held the keys in his hand. This was really happening. The salesman led him to the motorcycle, and Tom sat on it for the first time. The seat was comfortable, and the controls felt natural under his hands. He could already imagine the freedom of riding it down the open road. He started the engine, and the sound was exactly what he had dreamed of. A deep, rumbling roar that seemed to echo through the dealership. I've made it, Tom thought as he revved the engine, the vibration of the bike sending a thrill through his body. This is the moment. He took the bike out for a short ride around the parking lot, getting used to the feel of the motorcycle. The wind in his face, the sound of the engine beneath him. It was everything he had imagined and more. After a few minutes, he parked the bike and turned off the engine. He was smiling from ear to ear. As he walked back into the dealership to finish the final details of the purchase, he felt a sense of accomplishment he had never experienced before. This was more than just buying a motorcycle. It was about believing in himself, taking a risk, and fulfilling a dream that he had carried with him for years. The salesman handed him the final paperwork, and Tom paid the remaining balance. He shook the man's hand and thanked him for everything. With the keys to his dream motorcycle in his pocket, Tom walked out of the dealership and into the sunlight. The world felt different now. He had done it. On the way home, Tom couldn't stop smiling. He thought about the roads he would ride, the places he would go, and the adventures that awaited him. He knew that his life would be different now. He had a new sense of freedom and excitement, and it was all thanks to that decision, that leap of faith. As he drove home, Tom made a promise to himself. He would ride this motorcycle for years to come, exploring new places and meeting new people. But most importantly, he would never forget the feeling of that day. The day he finally bought his dream motorcycle.
Please like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe.